And here is the confirmation of our final match of the day. Second semi-final between Rainer Schüttler of Germany, number 8 seed, against the unseeded Argentine David Nalbandian. Well, now, I suppose I shall have to ask you, A, what sort of a match is it going to be, and who's going to win?
Well, I think it's going to be a baseline-orientated match, but both players will try to come to the net on occasion, so they're not just going to be stuck 6 feet behind the baseline, there's no doubt about that. Nalbandian's deceptive. He can play an all-court game if he wants to. He's already won an indoor event, as we mentioned, in Basel, so he can play on fast court. I think Schüttler is going to be the one that's going to look to try and dominate if he can. If Nalbandian comes in, I think Schüttler will have slight advantage because he loves to hit passing shots. But I think the win yesterday against Agassi will have given Schüttler a huge boost. The fact that it's been played on a hard court will give him an added advantage, and I think we're going to see the German progress to the final for the first time, incidentally, in his career.
And as you heard, he won the toss and said, "I'll serve."
Love 15. Counts back on 15.
I think the early stages of this match are going to be important, particularly to Schüttler, bearing in mind those 2 losses.
Hands, 14-15.
Well, this is what Nalbandian's going to try and do. If anything short, he's going to look to dominate, particularly with his forehand. He's going to be the one that's hoping to dictate the rallies, and that's why it's going to be very important for Schüttler to keep a good length.
Well, that was a good length on serve. And he holds serve really quite confidently and competently. And we talked about serve. It's the only other times they've ever played on a court like this one. Schüttler has won. That was at Indian Wells last year and at the Australian Championships this year, the quarter-final. So horses for courses and so on. It should be Schüttler.
The start's going to be important from another point of view as well. Nalbandian does tend sometimes to get a little bit down on himself if he doesn't play as well as he would like, whereas Schüttler's a very tough competitor, as we saw last night. Nalbandian does have excellent control over the ball, and he has excellent disguise as well. It's very difficult to pick where he hits the ball. Here the accuracy was excellent. Schüttler nowhere in sight.
But there is one other thing, Jason. That match yesterday against Agassi was long and very emotional, very emotional. The closing stages, the atmosphere was electrifying. Will that have had a debilitating effect?
It certainly can be difficult to come back the next day and play as well as you have the day before when you've had one of the biggest wins of your career. Well, it's a lot easier when you can get a big first serve in excellent length. Schüttler having to go with the one hand, play defensive return of serve, and Nalbandian on this occasion electing to go back behind his opponent.
One game.
It was an equally impressive first service game from the Argentine.
Saw a lot of nice angles last night against Agassi. This was just as impressive, taking Nalbandian out of court, forcing him to play this single-handed slice, and then of course Schüttler had options. He could have gone down the line, and that's where Nalbandian was running to cover, but instead the German chose to go inside out, and there was no reply.
30.
Germans have done quite well here of late, really. He's the fourth German to reach the semis here in the last 5 years. Of course, Tommy Haas a couple of times, and Kiefer, who's back from injury and playing well again, but Haas isn't. Schüttler keeping tight control on his own service game, and he's 2-1 first set.
Schüttler leads 2 games to 1.
Well, a good start, really, by both men, and they'll be seeking the psychological edge that makes the difference in matches. Are there any sort of tactical things do you expect to see tonight?
Well, I expect Nalbandian to try and use his forehand a little bit more than Schüttler. I think Schüttler, his forehand and his backhand are very similar in terms of how he can hurt his opponent, so he's quite comfortable hitting off both sides, though I think he slightly prefers his forehand, whereas Nalbandian is a lot more forehand orientated, so I think he's going to try and use his footwork a little bit more, use his forehand in order to hurt Schüttler. But in a way, he plays into Schüttler's hands because he does like to counter-punch, especially if Nalbandian comes to the net. He's going to have to approach with some good quality because Schüttler can pass exceptionally well, and he can also stay in rallies a very long time. So when Nalbandian was actually winning points earlier in the event, Schüttler will be getting more balls back in play, and therefore Nalbandian will have to work harder to win the points.
Well, already taking aboard some fluids, which is essential, of course, on this humid evening. We've learned so much about sports medicine and all the electrolytes you need to. That's what will be in those pink-coloured bottles, or the fluid is coloured pink within the bottles. And they all use sports drinks of various types, don't they?
And quite right too. Very, very difficult coming back to play day in, day out, these type of conditions. Could be playing anywhere from an hour to 3.5 hours. That's the difficulty with tennis.
A target, the baseliners.
And the double-handed backhand, you've got the advantage. You can use the second hand to drag the ball across your opponent. Very difficult to read when you're playing against a player with two-fisted shot.
Twice now he's tried to come to the net. I hope that doesn't put him off the fact that he lost both points, because I think that is the hustling tactic that is required. Nalbandian used to be coached by Gabriel Marcus. When he won Wimbledon, Gabriel was his coach at that time. Yes. When he reached the Wimbledon final, I meant to say last year, rather. He'd dearly love to have won the title, but he didn't.
Two games on.
So already some really punishing rallies. So fitness and speed to the ball are at a premium today.
La 15. Counts 15.
So his accuracy just deserting him for a moment. The winner was on all right. Just up.
counts 15-13.
Early signs of frustration there. Always has that little habit of brushing the surface of the court inside the baseline with his left foot.
That was second service.
He's annoyed with himself there. 15-30 in these early stages. To got 15-40 and the chance for a break was of paramount importance. Just make your opponent win the ball, win the point, and not lose it for him.
That's a problem Schüttler sometimes has when he tries to up the pace in the rally. He can't do so, and that time Nalbandian just had an extra half step to get to the back, and it was still an excellent shot, getting the ball down lower than the height of the net, forcing Schüttler to half volley up.
So he's got his break point. Strikes me that he might be just suffering a little bit of a letdown from last night. So the first double fault giving him a second break point. Well, I think looking at his coach for confirmation that
I'm
was
not
long.
sure now.
That's what they usually
I
do.
have to go with that call, David.
And I think...
I said I'm not sure, so we have to go with that call.
Well, you heard all that. And I think his coach, Infantino, must have said to him that he thought it was good. And TMI would agree. So he's a bit unlucky there. And he made a slow start last night, but that was because Agassi was playing so well. He had to fight back then, but this is a little different, rather more errors, self-inflicted wounds.
It's a shame he's ruining that missed opportunity, but there's no need to go for depth when you change direction up the line. You're trying to beat your opponent for direction and possibly surprise, so there's no need to be going that close to the line.
fault, he says to the umpire. Yes, says Fergus.
Avantage. Schüttler.
So in the end, no breaks and 3-2 first set.
Well, it was a good game to win for Schüttler. He was a little bit fortunate because, as we saw with TMI, the ball forehand from Nalbandian did in fact touch the line. So he's got away there with possibility to break down. Nalbandian will be a little bit frustrated that he wasn't able to take advantage of those chances. But Nalbandian's kind of crept through the draw without really anybody talking about him as a potential winner. And of course, when you make the semi-finals, you've got a good chance of winning the event. I think that might be an advantage for him, because with Schüttler having beaten Agassi last night, there are expectations for him coming back today, doing just as well, backing that up with a victory against somebody that he should beat if he can beat Agassi. So therefore that puts a little bit of extra pressure on Schüttler. Of course, Nalbandian's won the last 2 times these guys have met. So there are a few positives for Nalbandian to consider in this match.
Well, a smart little moustache he's growing there, a little beard.
Time.
And the Argentine fans here today, and they're pretty supportive around the world, one finds. Not quite as many of them as usual, as they usually are for Kearton. The Brazilians are out in numbers always wherever he plays.
There was a lot in the final last year in Toronto. They had good reason to celebrate.
Counts. 15.
Been a good serving performance so far by Nalbandian. See how he does here. He's only dropped 1 point so far. Ah, there's a second. I think Dirk Hordorf will be relatively relieved that his man is playing a bit more decently now than he was a little earlier. And he must have been worried about the letdown after Agassi, I think. It's a difficult thing, that.
14.
Certainly, Schüttler looking a little bit slower getting to the ball than he was last night. Though perhaps I'm just thinking of the latter stages of last night's match and not the earlier part when he was outplayed by Agassi. You sometimes find, actually, after a long match, it takes about a set to run out the effects of that match the following day.
Yeah, if you're a little bit stiff, you need to get the body flying again. They'll have only practiced very lightly for about half an hour or so, so it might take them a while to get into this encounter.
Maintaining the good serving with his third ace.
Three games on.
So that's the first time he's been taken to deuce, but in the end he was safe enough. So the shirt already clinging to him.
Counts. 15.
Well, Nalbandian does like to go up the line off the backhand, but it's a high-risk strategy, changing direction on the ball, and he hasn't quite found his range so far this evening. Nice serve, so therefore Nalbandian having to defend on the return with the single hand. Doesn't have enough control over the ball, just dropping short. A lot of wrist from Schüttler there, getting underneath the ball to get the necessary topspin.
Well, thank goodness that the umpire has got the sound turned up on that bleep so that we can hear it. Nice service game for the German there, a love game, and it's put him ahead 4-3. Well, I think this is probably going to be a case of feeling his way into the match, getting the sort of feel of the occasion again. Because he had it last night, he was inspired in the closing stages, but to recreate that adrenaline rush is not easy.
No, and the atmosphere last night was absolutely sensational. So again, the crowd are just kind of waiting to get involved in this match, waiting for some catalyst to excite them, and it hasn't really happened as yet. And of course, you've got to remember that neither of these two players has been to a final of a Tennis Masters Series event, so it's a big occasion for both players, and therefore there's going to be a little bit of nerves at the beginning of the match, and hopefully by now they want to settle down and they'll start to find their range a little bit more. And one feels that if Nalbandian can do that, he does have an advantage at the moment.
Well, a good sprinkling of spectators here, not absolutely full, But the pricing here allows the public to come with fairly reasonably priced tickets in the upper stands, and the corporate guests are in the lower ones. So there's a good mixture. And there is Bob Bedard, an old friend of mine. And this is the night when Bob Bedard is being honoured, the Canadian #1 for a number of years in the 1950s, and a delightful fellow, an old friend of mine.
Counts.
Along with Lorne Main and François Godbout and Henri Rochon, Don Fontana. There were some good players about for Canada in those days.
Nalbandian was forced deep behind the baseline. You see there having to recover off the forehand side. Excellent approach by Schüttler, and it's really difficult to make a passing shot when you're that deep in the court.
Subtle change coming over this match here. Schüttler beginning to dig himself in. And now Nalbandian starting to make a few little errors. Well, he needed that good serve. Well, now, that could be a costly error. He's made 14 unforced, and it's his first break point. So there's the break. The first of the match.
Schüttler leads 5 games to 3.
And the signs were there, with Schüttler beginning to play a little more positively and cutting out the errors, and this man looking a little edgy. And I think his coach will be a little bit worried now, since Nalbandian lost his serve for the first time. Serving for the set, Schüttler.
Well, this is where Schüttler is so effective. He's under a lot of pressure here, but he gets the ball back, and not only does he get it back, he gets it back cross-court, so it gives him a little bit more time to get back in the rally.
Well, that was a good moment to find a good serve. 40 love and triple set. What a lovely second serve that was, forcing the error. They're called off pretty pleased with Schüttler. 35 minutes, the first set.
Ce soir, mesdames et messieurs, le Masters de tennis de Montréal rend hommage à un grand qui bénéficie.
Well, I think really it all turned when Schüttler here began to cut out the errors, make a little more, make Nalbandian work a little bit harder and prolong the rallies, didn't he? Made a few errors for him.
That's why he's so difficult to beat. He doesn't do anything spectacular, but when he does raise his game and he doesn't make any unforced errors, then it becomes very difficult. You can see there he's not going to be completely happy with serving at only 50%, so he's going to try and look to improve that. Only 4 winners, but that's what you would expect. He is very much a consistency-orientated player. 8 unforced errors, but look at that stat. Only had 1 break point opportunity and took full advantage of it, whereas on the opposite side, Nalbandian had 3 break points and didn't able to break the German serve once. 16 unforced errors, way too many from Nalbandian, and lots of those coming on the backhand down the line, which is one of his favourite shots.
Let's now enjoy some good shots from both men here. You may hear in the background the court announcer introducing Bob Bedard to the assembled throng. We've had the advantage of a glimpse of him already, but in a moment when his record has been completed, we'll get another glimpse of him. And here he is. He'll stand. He is a very nice fellow, this, and very well preserved. A standing ovation for him, the leading Canadian player in those post-war years, the 1950s, and still looking very, very fit. Bob Bedard, he's a man who I played against and with on many occasions years ago. And as I said, there were a lot of good Canadian players at that time. Lorne Main, who has become one of the greatest of the senior players on the senior tour, which is a growth sport now. I mean, senior tennis is huge, absolutely huge.
You don't mean the 35 and overs there, JB, do you?
I mean the 45s, the 55s, and the 65s, and on and on. And they play up now to about the 80s or 85s. Second set. Just to complete that thought, the ITF promotes and runs a huge number of veterans tournaments, growing by the year, and they have age group championships, world championships every year.
Counts 15. balance, 15 seconds.
Dark mutterings from Nalbandian. The errors are hurting him. And unfortunately for him, Schüttler is improving too. Well, given him a little bit of hope here as Schüttler, and he really wanted to keep his foot on the pedal. Well, he did well to come out of that. Taking 30 down, but he found some good serves.
Certainly did, and both players have been serving reasonably well, very accurate, and having good success on their serves. So I think if we have a look at TMI, that'll give us an even better indication of exactly what's been going on in the match so far. I think we're going to start with Nalbandian, having just played a very solid service game. You can see there the red one's our second serve, so all the second serves being directed towards the Schüttler backhand, and then the first serve's being varied nicely between the forehand and the backhand. All the aces directly down the tee. Of course, that's the shortest distance which they can serve, so they can generate the most pace and give their opponent less time to get to the ball. Same there on the aces for Schüttler, both down the tee as you would expect, and all the second serves directed to the backhand side. So very similar for both players, and accurate serving. That's why they're having a lot of success so far.
La 15.
No damage done, but that gentleman there, the recipient of this smash. Whoops. Luckily he was watching.
Second service. Late call.
Can't have heard the call. It seemed loud enough.
Yep.
Out.
Oh, the backhand.
14.
Not a difficult return, really. Right into the hitting zone. That's 12 errors now on his backhand. And Schüttler's second serve points one. An astonishing 88%.
Un jeu parfait. 1 game on.
Yes, 12 errors on the backhand and only 8 on the forehand. And normally it would be the other way round with Schüttler, but the backhand is his favourite shot, his two-hander. Perhaps it's just that he's going for more on it, taking risks on it and missing.
Well, this is, of course, set up with the first serve. Schüttler only able to block the ball inside the service line, so Nalbandian had all sorts of options. Could have gone back behind, but on this occasion chose to go inside out.
Good footwork there from Schüttler.
That's one of the fundamental differences between these two players, is the fact that Schüttler has excellent footwork and can recover when he's behind in the rally more, whereas there you saw Nalbandian under a little bit of pressure, didn't quite get the feet in the right position, and therefore came up with an error.
Ooh. Well, you can't believe it. Must have looked into him. It was certainly very close to us. But there it is, called out, so 2-1 Nalbandian.
Yeah, first one was in, second one was out.
Well, we discussed a little bit about the fundamental difference in terms of movement and fitness of these two players. It might be interesting to have a look at the Schüttler footwork, because he really is one of the fittest players on the tour, and his feet very rarely stop moving. You can see there lots of little steps, and then the check step before the return of serve. It was a good body serve, so he couldn't get set up in terms of trying to hit a ground stroke, and then the feet moving all the time while he moved and was forced wide on the backhand. Again, another check step just before his opponent makes contact with the ball, so he's on balance to move either direction. Nalbandian trying to pepper the backhand. Again, there's the check step, knees flexed, so he's got lots of balance and he can thrust off either side to try and get the maximum amount of speed, cover the distance in the quickest and shortest time. Nice movement to the forehand side.
Yes, very vivid illustration of just how important it is to move well on a tennis court. And it's one of the fundamental things that beginners would do well to remember. Too often you go to the public parks and see people standing flat-footed and wondering why they're missing the balls. Your technique can only work properly if you get yourself to the place where the ball is in time to make the shot without having to compromise. Well, a lovely evening it's turned out. The forecast wasn't very smart, but fortunately the rain that was threatened hasn't appeared at all. Very, very humid though. As you've seen, the players having to change shirts, towel off regularly. And no breaks, second set so far. 1-2.
Counts 15.
Now 11 from Schüttler. And most tennis matches, you know, are lost, not won.
Well, that's more like it from Nalbandian, but there was a big difference there because when he actually made contact with the ball, he was inside the baseline. So therefore, it was a little easier for him to make the shot up the court, just right on the baseline there. Whereas when he's been attempting it earlier in the match, he's been behind the baseline, so it's been a little bit more difficult.
Premier service.
Good tennis from both players. Nalbandian a little bit fortunate that Schüttler's ball clipped the top of the net, so he was able to move forward and play a good approach shot, but not doing enough with the attempted angled winner on the volley and then covering the middle of the court instead of following the line of the ball. And that made life a little bit easier for Schüttler, although it was still a tough shot and the German did well.
Nice, accurate backhand to finish things off.
Two games on.
And a good illustration there of Nalbandian finding it a little bit difficult to get to that wide ball, whereas I think the same shot in reverse would have seen Schüttler getting it back a little bit quicker than his opponent. 2-1. Had a great junior career, this boy. He was the winner of the US junior singles when he was just 16. He beat Federer in the final. He's a finalist also that year in the French. Correa beat him there. It's interesting that all these people have emerged towards the top of the men's game now in the junior ranks. There is the little trembler that announces a let has happened when the ball makes the vibration. Yes, lovely tactics there.
Nalbandian in complete control of the rally, forcing his opponent deep and then playing the drop shot. He was well inside the baseline when he attempted it, so that was good. Schüttler correctly going down the line, so he gave himself a chance to stay in the rally, but the little flick of the wrist was enough to get the ball across the body of the German for a winning shot.
And back to his best form of the first set now. The service game very, very secure. And he's 3-2.
Nalbandian leads 3 games to 2.
Well, did well there to hold serve, and he's still managing to stay with Schüttler because he's serving pretty well. If we have a look at his profile, 69% of first serves in. He'll be delighted with that. You can see they're effective serves as well. He's winning 78% of points when that first serve goes in, but as you would expect, about 50% of points being won when the second serve goes in. That's generally the rule in professional men's tennis. I think if we also have a look at Schüttler's service profile, we'll see a little difference there, because he's serving at only 50% of first serves, but he is winning a high percentage of the points when that first serve finds its mark, 70. But look at this, 85% of points won when he's back in the second serve. That's unheard of in men's tennis, and that gives you a good indication of how, A, how well he's serving, but B, how poorly Nalbandian's taken advantage of those opportunities, and that's why he's struggling in this match so far, in my opinion.
Well, actually the sky isn't quite as blue as that. Believe me, it's rather grey. But the daylight is now beginning finally to fade, and the floodlights taking over.
Time.
That shirt's clinging to his back. It's such a humid night. Still no breaks this set, then 2-3.
Much better point from Nalbandian's point of view. He can take advantage of this early lead, put a bit of pressure on Schüttler.
Great rally indeed, this.
Excellent hustle from Nalbandian. You see there, he was struggling to stay in the rally. Drop shot cross court gave Nalbandian an opportunity to bunt it up the line and stay in the rally. And then his position was better there. He gave Schüttler a much smaller target area to hit into, which forced the German wide.
15.
Yeah, I saw some smoke appearing from beside Dirk Horloff. He must have had a crafty little cigarette going there. Not allowed.
That's what happens when your charge goes love 30 down.
Well played, Nalbandian.
Yeah, it was good play by Nalbandian, but I'm not sure why Schüttler's suddenly taking it upon himself to bring Nalbandian into the net. Didn't work earlier in the game, and this time he tried to go cross-court with the last forehand, but Nalbandian in a good position, and he's worked exceptionally hard in this game, and he deserves his lead.
He thinks he fancies a break here. Triumph from Nalbandian there.
That was a good game all round from Nalbandian. Worked very hard, cut out his unforced errors, made it difficult for Schüttler to win points, but not sure why that sudden change of tactics from the German, bringing Nalbandian into the net with two short-angled slice drop shot attempts. Really didn't pay dividends for him.
Absolute brilliance from Schüttler, doing what he did last night against Agassi, getting back the impossible.
Well, if anyone wonders why Schüttler is in the top 10 in the world, they only need to have a look at this rally, turning defence into attack, never giving up in any rally, no matter what the situation. Quite superb. Perfect control of the racket face under pressure. Excellent shot selection.
Wonderful fight back this. Look at this, 15 winners from Nalbandian, more than twice as many as Schüttler. Don't often see a let on a second serve. He's irritated with himself, Schüttler, that he hasn't been able to cope with the sudden increases in pace in the rallies that Nalbandian has thrown at him. Good tactics.
And he usually passes so very well, Schüttler. I think that's what's frustrating him. But Nalbandian certainly upped his level of play.
So 5 games to 2. Nalbandian on a run here.
Nalbandian leads 5 games to 2.
Well, he's been rocked back on his heels, the Schüttler.
That's what we talked about at the top of the match, the fact that Nalbandian does have necessary weapons to be able to hurt his opponent, but it's whether he can keep the consistency up and keep his unforced error count down. And unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to do that at the beginning of the match, but in the second set he has been able to raise the level of his game. Schüttler's found it hard to stay with him, and I think the third set could prove very interesting indeed if both these players can raise the level of their game.
Well, he's going to have to do something about this man's increased pace and increased enthusiasm. I mean, he's looked so eager this last 2 or 3 games. A real fight back. And Dirk-Orloff, I think, wants to see Schüttler really make an effort to hold on to this set and not let it go. Try and still win in straight sets. It's only 1 break. 5-2 sounds a lot, doesn't it? But it's an illusory lead often.
There's no doubt Nalbandian's going to be a little bit tight. If he does have the opportunity to serve for the set, he doesn't get a break of serve here. So important, obviously, for Schüttler to use his best efforts with the new balls to hold serve here.
Well. Despite Dirk-Orloff's urgings, errors still from Schüttler. Looks as if we're going towards the third set. Well, he's on fire at the moment, the Argentine. Oozing confidence, he has 3 set points. And the linesman thought about it. That's why he is looking a little bit surprised. But no overrule. Still 2 set points. Well, there it is. The second set is his. He's worked hard to achieve it. It's taken him 1 hour and 10 minutes to draw level, but he is level, winning that set 6-2.
Well, played exceptionally well in that second set, Nalbandian, and we can see why he's been able to win all of his matches previous to this one this week in straight sets. Now, I talked to Tim Hemman after he played Hemman in the second round. He said when he plays well and he cuts out his unforced errors, he is very difficult to beat. He's because he can play a good all-court game and he can hurt you from the back of the court, even though these conditions are relatively heavy. And I think if we have a look at the stats, we can see that he's improved his game drastically from the first set. 71% of first serves. He'll be absolutely delighted with that. That's outstanding by anyone's standards. And 8 winners and only 6 unforced errors. So that's exactly what we needed him to do after the opening set, cutting down on his unforced errors, but still staying aggressive and able to dominate his opponent. Had 3 breakpoint chances and managed to convert on 2 of those. So an excellent set of tennis from Nalbandian.
Well, let's enjoy some of the colourful moments from that first set. Well, he's pulled his socks up, metaphorically and physically there, but it's been a very interesting glimpse of just how tough a match player he is. I mean, he dug in, he had to, and improved his game, forced himself to get better.
Yeah, and the players have talked this week about the court being relatively slow and the ball's playing relatively heavy, but he has the ability to be able to flatten out his ground strokes and just add a little bit of pace when he needs it most, and that's what's hurt Schüttler, whereas Schüttler doesn't really have the ability to do that, and that's been the main difference in the second set. Nalbandian can keep cutting out his unforced errors but stay aggressive so that he's dominating the rally, and I think he's going to have a very good chance of moving through to his first ever Masters Series final.
Well, this should be a real dogfight, this final set. Remember, he's never beaten Schüttler on a hard court.
Well, he's carrying on where he left off. Excellent use of the angle to get the short ball, and then even more angle on the second shot. Look at the wrist to get underneath the ball and over it to get the necessary spin. Schüttler seems to have lost the plot momentarily. Certainly has lost the plot. His timing's gone. And he's feeling a bit like a boxer who's been punched hard and rocked back on his heels. He'll have to work very hard, will Schüttler. And I think he may be finding it hard. We talked about the fact that he had that very tough match last night, both mentally and physically. And I think Nalbandian now has managed to find it, the clutch. He's playing much better than his opponent, but I think there's going to be an opportunity for Schüttler. It's just a case of whether he can manage to stay with Nalbandian long enough to make the most of it, because I do think Nalbandian may get a little bit nervous when he gets closer to the finishing line. Never been to the final, of course, of a Masters Series event before. Neither is Schüttler, so big opportunity for both players.
Counts 15.
Well, he seems to be refocused here, which is a good sign for him. He's certainly making a big effort here, really concentrating again and looking much more purposeful. Well, it was the pace of Nalbandian that did that.
40-15.
Well, one of those thrilling points where both men had a chance and Lady Luck played a hand.
Certainly did. Very close to the line, but Schüttler, we said he's an excellent mover around the court, but just a little bit too casual with the last shot of the rally. Missed it by a country mile.
Well, that may restore his confidence. Remember, this man had won 5 games in a row. 2 all in the second set, 4 games there in the first of this set. So it was essential that Schüttler did hold. He's getting better again.
Well, we said he could play an all-court game if he needs to, and this was excellent control on the volley. Look at the short swing, very little backswing, beautiful control of the racket face on contact with the ball, making out in front of the wrist so that he got the necessary angle.
Well, he's really motoring now, isn't he?
He's having a lot of success with that cross-court backhand, short angle. Persevered with the down-the-line shot for a good set and a half. Wasn't really working for him, and then a nice little discreet change of tactics made dividends.
And a perfect length serve once more. So a 2-1 lead in the final set.
Well, haven't been many breaks of serve, and both players have been trying, obviously, their best to do exactly that. So I think if we have a look with TMI at the players' return hit points, starting with Nalbandian, you'll see there the red dots are the second serves, all of those inside the baseline. Just a couple of yellow dots, which are the first serve returns, and those will be kick serves out wide to the backhand. So he's moved forwards to take those early before the ball's taking him off court. Good accurate serving, just occasionally the odd serve out wide to the forehand. On the right of your screen you've got two balls there, but all the others to the backhand. And then if we swing around and have a little look at Schüttler's return hit point, you can see he's very much trying to take the ball a lot earlier on the ad side. So those balls on the left hand side of your screen are well inside the court, but look at those few balls there just down on the right hand side of your screen. He has also been moving back to take some forehand returns a little bit later.
Well, he has certainly been collared by Nalbandian in the last few games, and he's got a big job to do still. Thank goodness for him that he did hold his last service game. They're level on serve in this final set. He's been on the receiving end of most of the traffic this last 6 games, of which he's only won one. One of the last 7 games, in fact.
You do feel, though, that Nalbandian has to make his move. He is playing well. Schüttler's not playing particularly well, so needs to make his move as soon as possible to take advantage of this momentum swing.
15.
Well, he was so quick. His nose right over the net there that made that final volley an easy one. And that is the secret of good volleying. Get in fast. You could put this rally in any coaching manual. So the ball was well above net height, hadn't dropped. Well, the frustration is mounting. 11th error on that wing from the German. Snarling with dismay.
Reverting to type there, Nalbandian with the backhand up the line. Hasn't had a great deal of success with that shot throughout the encounter. Been better advised to continue with the rally cross-court until a better opportunity presented itself.
The low-flying aircraft may have disturbed Schüttler because unless you can hear the ball properly, you can't play properly. Anybody who's ever tried to play tennis with a heavy cold where you go temporarily deaf, you know what I mean. Well, you made a good point about taking chances. He's had several that he's fluffed, and that might prey on his mind. Certainly Dirk hopes so.
Two games all.
2 games all, much to the relief of Schüttler, who's again steadied the ship.
That's where he's dangerous. He goes through patches where he doesn't play particularly well, but if you don't break his serve, he can then raise the level of his game and cause you all sorts of problems.
Counts 15.
Well, that was a lovely early ball, that. What are you making about meeting the ball inside the service line? Denying the opponent time.
Good stuff on this occasion from Schüttler, excellent length, and then Nalbandian doing well to stay in the rally as long as he did, but look at the wrist there, short angle, too good for Nalbandian. Well, we saw when we used TMI last time to see the return hit points that Schüttler was taking the ball early, but this one, as he went down the line, looks like it was just wide. A little bit of luck for the German, and it's up to him to take full advantage of that.
There is the chance that Schüttler has worked so hard to get again against now a slightly indecisive Nalbandian. He's changed in the last 5 or 10 minutes. And he's done it. Saved today.
Well, Schüttler's got to be absolutely disgusted with himself here. That was a relatively simple backhand, nowhere near going over. Nalbandian was on the ropes. Neither player taking advantage of opportunities early in this deciding set.
But a good serve by Nalbandian when it wanted, when it was needed. And again, he has steadied. And I think if Andy Roddick is watching this match, and he may well be, he'll be wanting to see Nalbandian win. He's beaten him the only other time they've played. Whereas Schüttler has a 2-1 lead against Roddick, so he'll be keeping his fingers crossed, I think, for Nalbandian here, who now leads 3-2.
3 games to 2.
Well, Nalbandian got out of jail there, as far as I was concerned. Didn't play a particularly good game. Last couple of games, in fact, he reverted to type. He started to try and go down the line and force the issue when the ball wasn't really there to present itself. And Schüttler took advantage of that. But when Schüttler had his breakpoint opportunity, a nice simple backhand, hit it in the middle of the net, and he's going to be disgusted with himself. Serving second in this set, so there is going to be a little bit more pressure on the German. And I think if Nalbandian can continue to hold serve, he is going to get an opportunity as well. So Nalbandian holding the aces midway through this deciding set.
Schüttler ruining the lost opportunity, but he'll have to create some others. There are still no breaks of serve, so he's holding his own again after that flurry of 4 games in a row to close out the second set by Nalbandian, then the first game of the final set. That was a wonderful patch. Nalbandian's game certainly lifted, but he sort of teetered in that last service game and was a little bit fortunate to get away with it, but he did. And 2-3.
Difference there in Nalbandian, again using the cross-court backhand instead of being tempted to go down the line and then sneaking in behind it. As soon as he saw Schüttler had to open the racket face and play defensive backhand, and then he was on top of the net to finish the point. Good tactics from Nalbandian.
And I think he is now tiring. An hour and a half tonight, but you've got to remember the grueling match last night to put all this into context. And here he is in awful trouble now. Love 40.
A little bit of cat and mouse.
Several gamesmanship going on here. wonderful defence. It just shows you it's worth running for everything.
A little bit of indecision from Schüttler here. An excellent serve. Opened up the court for him. And then he was initially maybe going to take this in the air, but no. Then he was going to let it bounce. And it's going over the high part of the net. Didn't time it very well. Much to the delight of Nalbandian.
And Infantino absolutely thrilled that David Nalbandian is now, with a break, leading 4-2. Well, he's gone. One can only sympathise with him. Schüttler just a moment ago. He had the break point on the Nalbandian serve at 2-all. Might very well have been 3-2 himself. But no doubt who's in charge now. Nalbandian has won 9 of the last 11 games, and he's leading 5-2. Well, that was a wonderful example of willpower and determination. He forced himself to play better in the second set and reeled off that string of games and really knocked Schüttler for 6. He hasn't recovered yet.
No, just that solitary chance that you mentioned, John, with the break point, and he played it so very poorly, and that's what will disappoint him. It's different if your opponent comes up with an excellent serve, big serve, or an excellent point, and then you don't really have a chance to break serve. But when you miss one of your most reliable shots in the middle of the net, then obviously it's going to be a little bit worrying, and it's going to frustrate you, and it's going to keep on your mind. And I think Nalbandian, that let-off, got a huge boost, but he didn't take advantage of that, and he's played better because of it.
Look at that lovely hat from the Argentine supporter. No wonder he's grinning. Lovely. Well, you could say blood, sweat and tears. So really it has been a terrific performance from the Argentine, who didn't look too pleased with life when he'd lost that opening set 6-3, but he's turned it all round brilliantly against an admittedly slightly jaded Schüttler. A must-win game, 2-5.
Love 15.
You heard it, the snap of the string in Nalbandian's racket.
Counts 15.
He probably did the right thing.
Absolutely. Any coach will tell you, if you break a string in the middle of a rally, get to the net as quickly as you can, force your opponent to hit a good shot to win the rally, because it becomes very difficult to control the ball once you've broken a string, because of course all the tension goes, especially if it's broken in the middle of the racket and the ball just shoots off.
No, he's gone, I'm afraid. Rather sad after watching his brilliance last night against Agassi. Seems a long time ago now. Well, the crowd absolutely enthralled by the effort from both here.
Trying to make each other move as much as possible. It's not a bad drop shot going down the line, which was intelligent, but Schüttler got the necessary angle there, which Nalbandian found very difficult to chase down.
Just alive. And the players who compete in these Master Series events will tell you that in some ways they're tougher to win even than the Grand Slams, because you have to play every day after the first round. Admittedly, only 3 sets, not 5. Simply too good.
Had much more success with the backhand cross-court this evening than the backhand down the line. Nalbandian. Schüttler playing into his hands by recovering down the line, giving Nalbandian the open court on the cross-court, which is high percentage, and then moving in just in case Schüttler was able to get the ball back.
Well, he has the scent of victory in his nostrils now, this man. A wonderful winner, and it's produced the first match point. Well, a slight choking sensation in that last backhand. The shot's been so good to him tonight. Failing him there. Well, it's a tired-looking Schüttler now. A little shake of the head. It's all deserted him. And it's mental tiredness rather than physical. Second match point. It's all over. Well, nice that Schüttler should wish him luck there and congratulate him, because he did play well. Nalbandian turned it round after losing the first set and winning in the end 3-6, 6-2, 6-2 in an hour and 3/4. Well, into new territory now, a final at the Masters Series level for the first time, and that in itself is a triumph.
Certainly is, but he'll want more of the same tomorrow. As Schüttler departs, he'll be disappointed he wasn't able to come to the court today and play anywhere near as well as he did last night when he beat Andre Agassi for the first time, but he still enjoyed an excellent tournament, and he'll have a lot to reflect on when he heads to Cincinnati next week, and much of it will be positive. But for Nalbandian, as you say, John, new territory, moving into the final for the first time, he'll be absolutely delighted.
Yeah. Well, fly back. Good luck tomorrow.
So David Nalbandian signs our lens in the traditional manner. Good luck tomorrow, David. And here are the facts in the case.
Well, Nalbandian, you'll see 69% first serves, and throughout the encounter he was able to dominate with his serve. Schüttler couldn't get hold of his second, and 24 winners and 30 unforced errors. Many of those unforced errors, though, coming in the first set and a quarter, so he really improved his play in the second and third sets and managed to get 9 break-point opportunities, converting 4 of those. But Schüttler, only 55% of first serves. It's not really good enough. Way too many unforced errors, many of them coming in the second and third sets. You normally expect him to be much more consistent performer than that, and only able to have 2 break-point opportunities with which he was able to convert just a solitary time. So not good enough from Schüttler, looking tired and jaded. Nalbandian, an excellent performance.
Well, that really was a lovely match to watch in terms of the fighting qualities of Nalbandian. Let's enjoy some of the great moments. So there it is, Nalbandian is through, and then there were 2. Nalbandian to play Roddick. Nalbandian sailing in uncharted waters. Roddick, the finalist here last year. So this is what happened today. If you missed it, it was Roddick over Federer, the Wimbledon champion, defeated for the first time in 5 meetings, 6-4, 3-6, 7-6. Nalbandian over Schüttler, and that means a fine final tomorrow between Roddick and Nalbandian at 2 o'clock local time. Thank you for being with us. I'm John Barrett for Jason Goodall, leaving you with some shots of the day.